Want to get in still, though, another major breaking news headline we brought you earlier this afternoon out of a courtroom in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Well, this is what we know. The armorer for that film Rust, remember this on-set shooting back in October of 2021? Well, her name, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, brought up on charges of involuntary manslaughter. A jury finding her guilty of that charge today as well. She was also found not guilty of another charge of tampering with evidence. As you know, Alec Baldwin holding the gun that ultimately fired, killing the film's cinematographer, Halyna Hutchins. She died from that live bullet in a prop gun fired by the actor Alec Baldwin. And remember, the charges were resurrected against Baldwin as well, the very same ones, involuntary manslaughter. And so you see there Hannah Gutierrez-Reed in court today, but also in that body camera footage from the day of this horrible shooting. Let's talk to our friend Meghann Cuniff, senior legal affairs journalist there in Los Angeles, who's been following this also from the very beginning, just like us here. She joins me. Meghann, good to see you as well. I think a lot of people were struck by this today in the courtroom that, one, she was found guilty, and two, that she was immediately taken into custody. You know, we're going to play for our viewers the moments when this all happened. She handed all of her belongings to her friend at her side, and then bailiffs took her back there. She wasn't handcuffed, though, which I thought was interesting as well. Is that normal? Is that customary in something like this, or were you surprised by that as well?
You know, I think the non-handcuffing was, you know, something to just lead her out into the jail area of the courtroom, and then there might have been some restraints applied then, or whatever the traditional thing is. But yes, I was surprised too that she, somewhat surprised that she was remanded, especially considering the maximum sentence that she faces is 18 months. But you know, the judge did say that this was a serious crime involving a death, that it was a negligence case, an act of negligence, but it was still a death nonetheless. So took her into custody, and that, of course, is what really got her. It looked like her mother was sitting there in the courtroom watching all of this, and that was really the emotional display, to see her taken away by the deputies like that, and to just know that she's going to jail. But the split verdict on that, the not guilty on tampering with evidence and then guilty on involuntary manslaughter, just shows that, you know, while they deliberated for a short time, it seems like the jury, you know, pretty thoroughly went over the case and thought they had it.
Yeah, you know, it's always a privilege, really, to get a camera in a courtroom to watch all of this unfold. And so we don't see it all the time because there are rules between state and federal courtrooms. But in this one today, you always have to see the face of the defendant, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. Really no reaction. She remained stoic. Her mother, like you pointed out, though, kind of breaking down in tears, very, very emotional. But then I think Gutierrez-Reed got emotional when the prosecution requested that she be remanded right into custody, and the judge agreed with that. And then I believe that's when Hannah Gutierrez-Reed kind of felt the sense of the moment, the magnitude of the moment there. All right, we're kind of burying the lead here, Meghann, because Alec Baldwin will be facing a trial on these very same charges here. Is it going to be a carbon copy? Is it going to be the same arguments the prosecution will levy against him? Obviously, he has a very high-powered team of attorneys in defense. When is this all going to take place? Because from what I understand, Alec Baldwin's team of legal defense attorneys have tried to delay. But if what we saw today happens to Baldwin, it's going to be kind of a one-to-one here. Do I have that right?
Yeah. Well, I don't think his trial will be a carbon copy, just because of how their roles were so different. I do think that we did just see a pretty big preview of what we're going to be seeing against Alec Baldwin, and that a lot of the testimony that's going to come out against him in that trial isn't going to be favorable. I mean, the prosecutor even had a little spiel in her closing argument today, because, of course, part of Hannah's defense was to point at at Alec Baldwin and point to his, you know, kind of acting like a prima donna on the set and not thinking that he needed to take firearm handling seriously. And the prosecutor just said that, hey, she was the one who charged Alec Baldwin, but he is not on trial here. This is Hannah's trial, and that Baldwin will be dealt with later by another jury. So that was definitely kind of an ominous a warning almost to, Alec Baldwin and his side that, of course, that trial still looms. But the evidence and testimony will, of course, it's always interesting to see how it actually comes in compared to what the opening statements are. But that's what we saw here in the trial is a pretty good roadmap of what the evidence is against Alec Baldwin. And just the negligence factor here, I think, is strong. I saw an interview with the juror outside of the courthouse, and he was just saying that it was so obvious to everyone that she had created an unsafe environment.
I see. And that negligence factor is so key because it is where you lay the blame. Is the armorer on set kind of the last bulwark against anything horrible like what we saw happen? Or is it the actor that is handling the weapon placed in their hand by said armorer? And so I'm interested to see how those two facets kind of tease themselves out in these trials as well, because we've heard from the Screen Actors Guild saying that Alec Baldwin should be absolved of negligence and guilt because it is the job of those on set who facilitate and assist the actors with this. That's where this lies. That's where the blame at the end of the day lies. We saw that today with Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. So I'll be seeing whether or not, those arguments will be at play in Alec Baldwin's trial. By the way, Meghann, do we know when that is?
Off the top of my head, I don't know when the current trial date is, but okay. I imagine, especially now with the guilty verdict and I think sentencing coming up in the next couple of months, unless that gets delayed, I can imagine prosecutors prioritizing getting a trial date and an immediate trial soon for Alec Baldwin.
All right, we'll just have to wait and see. We have some reports saying possibly this summer, maybe July, so we'll just have to wait and see. MeghannCuniff, as always, thanks for making time for us tonight. Talk soon.